90% पानी दुनिया में ड्रिंकिंग वाटर 90% है पब्लिक कॉरपोरेशंस, लोकल गवर्नमेंट्स का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर से आपको मिलती है। 10%, ओनली 10% is privatized. That leaves, and that 10% already is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Years old. 1956 में हमने इंटरस्टेट वाटर डिस्प्यूट्स एक्ट पास किया, जो हमने 2002 में एमेंड किया। Every neighbor of ours, we have a dispute involving water. It's not an issue of who is right and who is wrong. The fact is that water is a bloody explosive issue, and we have to recognize how bloody explosive it is. That water privatization has failed miserably. Nigeria, riots, huge problems until the IMF was forced to withdraw. World Bank, Johannesburg, huge slums in the riots in the townships and slums. World Bank was forced to withdraw.
सम्मानीय साथियों, आप सभी का आज के इस अनिल चौधरी जी का जो स्मृति कार्यक्रम है उसमें बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। आज सुबह से ही ये कार्यक्रम चल रहा था और इस कार्यक्रम में सुबह अनिल चौधरी जी को श्रद्धांजलि देने का काम हुआ और उसके बाद में जो मुख्य तौर पर अनिल चौधरी जी जीवन भर जो ट्रेनिंग देने का काम करते रहे, उसको कैसे आगे बढ़ाना है, उसको लेकर के द क्वेश्चन ऑफ एक्सपीरियंशियल लर्निंग, इसको लेकर के यहाँ पर कल्याणी मेनन जी ने, शिवानी जी ने, अर्चना जी, अमित जी, ऋचा जी ने बातचीत रखी और आंचल कपूर जी ने कृति से उसका संचालन किया। और इसके बाद में हम लोगों ने दूसरे अल्टरनेटिव्स के सवाल के ऊपर, विकल्पहीन नहीं है दुनिया, तमाम सारे अल्टरनेटिव्स हैं, इसके ऊपर दिनेश अब्रॉल जी, जया मेहता जी, विनीत तिवारी जी, ऋचा सिंह जी, कल्याण आनंद जी, केश कली जी ने अपने विचार रखे और उसको चेयर करने का काम अशोक चौधरी जी ने किया, आदिवासी एकता परिषद के। पूरे कार्यक्रम को अभिषेक जी ने उसका संचालन किया। अनिल चौधरी जी का जन्मदिन है, 75वां उनका जन्मदिन है और आज का ये विशेष दिन इसलिए है कि आज इस दिन को 5 जून को पर्यावरण दिवस के तौर पर भी मनाया जाता है और इस देश के अंदर एक बड़ा बदलाव जो हुआ था, जो छात्रों ने किया था, वो उस संपूर्ण क्रांति का आज आगाज़ भी लोकनायक जयप्रकाश नारायण ने पटना में आज किया था। मैं सबसे पहले हमारे बीच में आप सबका स्वागत करने के साथ साथ हमारे साथ में पी साईनाथ जी यहाँ पर आ गए हैं। साईनाथ जी इस देश के जाने माने पत्रकार हैं। विशेष तौर पर जोरदार तालियां बजा करके उनका स्वागत हम करें। जेएनयू के अंदर पढ़ाई की, वहाँ पर कार्यकारिणी परिषद के सदस्य भी बने। यूनाई के अंदर पत्रकारिता की, ब्लिट्स में पत्रकारिता की, द हिंदू के लिए पूरे देश के ग्रामीण भारत को लेकर के उन्होंने लगातार लिखा। फिर इसके बाद में उन्होंने पीपल्स आर्काइव फॉर रूरल इंडिया वो उन्होंने बनाया। उन्हें तमाम किस्म के बड़े पुरस्कार भी मिले हैं, तमाम किताबें जो उनकी बहुत बड़ी, एवरीबडी लव्स गुड ड्रॉट, वो बहुत ही उनकी किताब बहुत मशहूर हुई। बहुत सारे सम्मान पी साईनाथ जी को मिले हैं। बहुत सारे काम हैं, बहुत लंबा आप उनका जीवन परिचय सभी लोग जानते हैं, लेकिन वो बहुत ज़्यादा पसंद भी नहीं करते हैं। इसलिए मैं आप सबका स्वागत करते हुए मैं अब आग्रह करूंगा, हम चाहते हैं कि यहाँ पर पुस्तक का विमोचन करें। पुस्तक के बारे में आप देख सकते हैं, नेपथ्य का नायक, ये एक पुस्तक तैयार हुई है और मैं चाहूँगा कि आयोजन समिति के साथी यहाँ पर आ जाएं। ऋचा सिंह जी, अचिन विनायक जी यहाँ पर आएं इस किताब के विमोचन के लिए। और उसके साथ साथ मैं चाहूँगा हमारे बीच में अनिल चौधरी जी की जीवन साथी संगिनी रंजना सक्सेना जी भी हैं यहाँ पर।
अनिल चौधरी अमर रहे, अमर रहे, अमर रहे। साथी अनिल चौधरी अमर रहे, अमर रहे, अमर रहे। अनिल चौधरी को लाल सलाम, लाल सलाम, लाल सलाम। अनिल चौधरी को लाल सलाम, लाल सलाम, लाल सलाम।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया साथियों का।
शुभ संध्या। शुभ समाचार भी है। अनिल की स्मृति को जो इन्होंने 30 साल तक पीस के साथ चलाया और बहुत ग्रास रूट में काम किया, हम लोग शुरू से इनके साथ रहे हैं। और मेरी जिम्मेदारी है, एक बहुत बड़ी जिम्मेदारी, उस सूचना देने की कि पीस के तरफ से अनिल की स्मृति में सोशियो पॉलिटिकल इकोनॉमिक रिसर्च, इकोनॉमिक भी है ना, रिसर्च की फेलोशिप की घोषणा है। इसके डिटेल्स वेबसाइट में हैं, तो इसका और पहुंचेगा लोगों तक, और इसमें भागीदारी के लिए आप लोग आगे बढ़ाएं इसको। इतना ही मेरी जिम्मेदारी थी। धन्यवाद।
अनिल जी पिछले 5 साल से, मतलब ऑलमोस्ट कोरोना से लेके अब तक जिन विषयों पर अपने साथियों से, हम सभी से चर्चा करते रहे थे, उसमें उनके कुछ प्रेसिंग कंसर्न्स थे। और ख़ासकर पोस्ट कोविड जिस तरह से दुनिया बन रही है, जो ग्रेट रीसेट वाला पूरा हिसाब किताब है, वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम और बाकी जो एक्टर्स हैं, उनका जो रोल है नए किस्म की दुनिया को बनाने में, उसको लेके अनिल जी बहुत ज़्यादा क्यूरियस थे। और लगातार हम लोगों से कुछ मटेरियल, किताबें, रिपोर्ट्स शेयर करते रहते थे। और एटलीस्ट मुझे याद है कि पिछले 5 साल में 2 या 3 बार उन्होंने कहा था कि इस पर एक किताब लिख दो। मतलब वो चौपतिया बोलते थे, तो चौपतिया मतलब बुकलेट, तो एक बुकलेट लिख दो ताकि जन शिक्षण के लिए, लोक शिक्षण के लिए वो काम आवे। और वो चौपतिया क्या होगी, वो यहाँ पे जो शीर्षक लिखा है कार्यक्रम का, वो कौन है जो निज़ामे हस्ती चला रहा है, हु रन्स दिस वर्ल्ड, दुनिया को कौन चला रहा है। तो इसी नाम से कुछ बना दो, लिख दो। और हम लोग अपने दिल्ली में रहते हुए काम की व्यस्तता और तमाम चीज़ों के कारण वो काम नहीं कर पाए। तो उसका एक रास्ता ये निकाला गया कि एक फेलोशिप कंस्टिट्यूट की जाए, अनिल चौधरी फेलोशिप ऑन पॉलिटिकल इकोनॉमी इस नाम से है। और आज अभी बालाजी सर ने उसका अनाउंस किया है। उस फेलोशिप का उद्देश्य यही है कि अनिल जी जितनी भी सामग्री छोड़ गए हैं और जितना वो चाहते थे कि कलमबद्ध हो और लोक की भाषा में हो, ताकि हिंदी पट्टी में लोगों को सरल तरीके से समझ में आ सके कि दुनिया का कारोबार कैसे चल रहा है, कौन चला रहा है, वो सारी बातें संभव हो पाएँ। तो हमारी कोशिश है कि इस फेलोशिप के माध्यम से अगले साल यानी 5 जून 2026 को, आज से 1 साल बाद, हम लोग यथासंभव कोशिश करेंगे कि मिल के और एक किताब ले आएं। और वो किताब सबके काम की, जाहिर सी बात है, होगी, क्योंकि सरल भाषा में कोशिश रहेगी समझाने की चीज़ों को, बनती हुई दुनिया को, हमारे भविष्य को। हम लोगों ने ये बिल्कुल नहीं सोचा है कि ये फर्स्ट फेलोशिप या सेकंड फेलोशिप टाइप कोई चीज़ होगी, क्योंकि वो फिर आप फर्स्ट जब कहते हैं तो फिर एक सिलसिला बन जाता है। इसलिए फ़िलहाल के लिए ये 1 टाइम फेलोशिप है, एक फेलो चाहिए होगा। 10 महीने की फेलोशिप है और जो भी प्रपोज्ड फ्रेमवर्क अनिल जी दे गए हैं उस प्रपोज्ड फ्रेमवर्क पे वो रिसर्च करेंगे, रिसर्च करके अपना इनपुट देंगे, निष्कर्ष देंगे और उसके आधार पे हम सभी लोगों की टीम मिलके एक किताब को मुकम्मल करेगी। ये इसका बैकग्राउंड है। शुक्रिया।
तो आज द कलर ऑफ वाटर, इंक्रीजिंग इनइक्वालिटी एंड अ फास्ट वैनिशिंग नेचर रिसोर्सेज, ये बहुत बड़ी कमोडिटी बन गया है। 50,000 करोड़ का तो इसका अभी का बिजनेस है, लोग कहते हैं 1 लाख करोड़ से ज़्यादा का है। पूरे फैक्ट्स एंड फिगर्स आपको पी साईनाथ जी बताएंगे। तो मैं उनसे अनुरोध करूंगा कि वो यहाँ पर आएँ और अपना लेक्चर यहाँ पर रखें। आप सब से अनुरोध है कि ताली बजा करके उनका स्वागत करें।
थैंक यू सुनील। मैं चाहता था कि अनिल चौधरी के लिए एक भाषण करना था उनका प्लेटफॉर्म पे, लेकिन मैं ये नहीं चाहता था कि अनिल चौधरी की मेमोरी में एक भाषण दूं। Anil Chaudhary was a friend of 48 years. And one of the first people, पहले 3-5 आदमी में था जो मैंने JNU कैंपस में मिला. One of the first 3 or 4 people I met on the campus. I'm so pleased that some of the others of the original gang are here with Dinesh Abrol, N.D. Jayaprakash, Prakash Upadhyay, so many of my, and Balaji, who was like me, from Ganga, a Ganga hostel mate, Balaji. And जो पहला दिन मैंने हॉस्टल में गया, झगड़ा हो गया, वो PAN मूर्ति, पान मूर्ति प्रोवोस्ट या डीन था वो, मेरा रूम अलॉटमेंट के ऊपर कुछ झगड़ा हुआ. तो आई वॉज आर्ग्यूइंग विद हिम saying that I want to hold the other bed for my नागेश्वर राव जो आ रहा है आंध्रा से, और पान मूर्ति मुझको एक भाषण दिया यूनिटी इन डाइवर्सिटी के ऊपर और ये सब, तो जिसमें मैं पूरी तरह सहमत था, लेकिन आई वॉज कमिंग न्यूली टू दिल्ली एंड तो ये आर्ग्यूमेंट चल रहा था. 2 ग्रुप बन गया वहाँ. एक ग्रुप अनिल चौधरी, दूसरा ग्रुप पता नहीं कौन उसका लीडर था. दोनों बहुत फियर्स आर्ग्यूमेंट चल रहा था एंड आई वॉज पजल्ड. समवेयर सपोर्टिंग द डीन, समवेयर सपोर्टिंग मी. 3-4 मिनट के बाद मुझको समझ में आया कि ये लोग सब मजाक कर रहे हैं. दे आर रैगिंग द डीन. दे वर जस्ट इरिटेटिंग द डीन. So they were somewhere pretending to support him and somewhere pretending to support me. They had no interest in my position. सिर्फ वो JNU था 1970s में. They were having fun with the administration. वो था. That was when I met Anil Chaudhary. Also he was General Secretary at that time or shortly after of the union. Shortly after, he was the General Secretary. So, I recognize Anil Chaudhary as the man who brought progressive politics to the NGO sector. This is my personal recognition of Anil, apart from the enormous influence he had on my own thinking. As I said, it's really sad for me to have to do a lecture in his memory. जी आपको बहुत खबर मिल रहा है आजकल ये त्रिभाषा फॉर्मूला के ऊपर, राइट? सब पढ़ रहा है पेपर में. त्रिभाषा फॉर्मूला, तमिलनाडु रेजिस्ट कर रहा है, उत्तर प्रदेश सपोर्ट कर रहा है. मैं मुंबई से हूँ जहाँ तीनों भाषा एक बोली में मिलती है आपको. हाँ, अंग्रेजी, हिंदी, मराठी तीनों एक बोली में आती है. मेरा पर्सनल है 5 भाषा फॉर्मूला, मतलब आई स्पीक 5 लैंग्वेजेस इक्वली बैडली. आज मैं कोशिश करता हूँ एक डेढ़ भाषा फॉर्मूला, अंग्रेजी और हिंदी थोड़ा मिलके बात करता हूँ। वाटर, पानी का रंग। देखिए, अभी जो इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी जो एबेंस में चले गई, जो एज एन अंग्रेजी स्पीकर मुझको समझ में नहीं आता है ट्रीटी का एबेंस क्या है। कैन यू होल्ड वाटर इन एबेंस? समझ में नहीं आता। आई हैव नो अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ व्हाट हैज हैपेंड और इज हैपनिंग, लेकिन इट हैज रिवाइव्ड इंटरेस्ट इन द इशू ऑफ वाटर। तो आप देखिए, हमारा देश में हर एक इंटरस्टेट डिस्प्यूट में नंबर 1 डिस्प्यूट पानी के ऊपर है। हम सब जानते हैं कर्नाटका तमिलनाडु का कावेरी वाटर्स डिस्प्यूट, जो 100 साल 150 साल के तक पुराना है, जब मैसूर प्रिंसली स्टेट रहा और मद्रास प्रेसिडेंसी रहा। अब वो सब हम सब जानते हैं उसके बारे में। लेकिन वही तमिलनाडु और केरल के साथ एक और झगड़ा है मुलप्पेरियार डैम, द मुलप्पेरियार डैम वो है। और कर्नाटका और केरला के बीच में कबिनी नदी के ऊपर, ये ओवर द कबिनी वाटर्स ऑफ द कबिनी रिवर, you have a dispute and a serious fight which has been on for decades. फिर कर्नाटका और आंध्र प्रदेश के बीच में वो डिस्प्यूट है ये अलमाटी डैम के ऊपर, और कर्नाटका और तेलंगाना और आंध्र प्रदेश के बीच में कृष्णा वाटर्स डिस्प्यूट। और वो इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स डिस्प्यूट है कि the people in Telangana and the people in Andhra Pradesh, one group are the sons and sons-in-law and daughters-in-law of the other group, and they both have physical fights on Karnataka soil. They clash on Karnataka soil where the whole conjunction and trijunction of the water comes up. Then आप देखिए वसुंधरा नदी, आंध्र प्रदेश और ओडिशा के बीच में, बालाजी विल नो अबाउट दैट। आंध्र प्रदेश और ओडिशा के बीच में वसुंधरा नदी का पानी। नर्मदा सब जानते हैं, मध्य प्रदेश, महाराष्ट्र, गुजरात, वो एक। गोदावरी आप जानते हैं, एपी, मध्य प्रदेश, महाराष्ट्र, केरला तक ये ट्रिब्यूटरीज का डिस्प्यूट चलती है। और some of us are old enough here to remember the Ravi Bias water dispute, which to my mind was the biggest stumbling block in the Punjab crisis. 28 rounds of talks between Sant Longowal and Rajiv Gandhi did not break down on Gurbani on Doordarshan or renaming Amritsar Mail as Golden Temple Express. It kept falling on the sharing of water of Ravi Bias between Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, a dispute that still continues. Because Amrinder Singh said he is throwing the agreement out. He has nothing to do with it. We don't know what the situation is there. Number 10, the Mahadayi River, Goa and Karnataka. Now we could, if I list the full river disputes interstate, we could do that just the whole talk. But it was very early recognized what a serious issue this was. As within 10 years of India's independence, in fact, before India was 10 years old, 1956 में हमने इंटरस्टेट वाटर डिस्प्यूट्स एक्ट पास किया, जो हमने 2002 में एमेंड किया। और वो सब इंटरनेशनल देखिए, सिर्फ इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी की बात नहीं है। एवरी नेबर ऑफ आवर्स वी हैव अ डिस्प्यूट इन्वॉल्विंग वाटर। It's not an issue of who is right and who is wrong. The fact is that water is a bloody explosive issue, and we have to recognize how bloody explosive it is. आप देखिए Indus Water Treaty. To my mind, that treaty was always headed for trouble because the founding umpire of the treaty was the World Bank. Okay, I have never known the World Bank to preside over any treaty that did not end in problems. But that's another matter. One country we never had a dispute with on water was Myanmar. लेकिन पिछले 3-5 साल में वो एक डैम बनाया जो मणिपुर को इफेक्ट होगा. वो भी एक डैम आ रही है वहाँ, वो म्यांमार, विच इज गोइंग टू इम्पैक्ट मणिपुर. बांग्लादेश को फराका बराज, तीस्ता रिवर, अभी फ्रॉम द फाउंडेशन पीरियड ऑफ बांग्लादेश इट हैज बीन एन इशू. प्रीवियसली इट वॉज एन इशू विद ईस्ट पाकिस्तान. नाउ नॉट मेनी पीपल विल नो दैट भूटान के साथ भी एक डिस्प्यूट है. जो क्या नदी का नाम है वो सरल भंगा रिवर. There at least some innovative idea, locals were involved in the solution. लेकिन it has not sustained. There are issues around it. With Sri Lanka, we have had disputes over the waters of Kachativu. Those are sea waters, ocean sea waters, not river waters, not drinking water, but it is the very important issue of fishing rights. So we arrest Sri Lankan fishermen, sometimes Sri Lankan Coast Guard arrests Tamil fishermen, and that dispute goes on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then Nepal, Kosi Barrage. नेपाल का कोसी बराज, दैट बराज जो बनाया जिसमें 28 कॉन्ट्रैक्टर था हमारा साइड, और सब कोई हर 28 में कोई तो कांटेक्ट या संबंध या रिलेटिव था जगन्नाथ और एलन मिश्रा को. ये कोसी बराज जो है, इट इज़ अ वेरी फ्रेजाइल थिंग. And I greatly fear that one day it will lead to mega deaths on both sides of the border. और आप देखिए हर साल आप पढ़ते हैं नॉर्थ बिहार में फ्लडिंग कहाँ से आ रही है? Lots of private embankments have also been built by zamindars along the river. वो भी है. There is no neighbor. And then, oh yes, China and Brahmaputra. The river of the Creator. So there is no neighbor with whom there is no water dispute. So you look, every state in India, interstate dispute, the main issue is water. Every bordering nation with India, it's not a question of who is right and wrong and whether I want to take a position on for Tamil Nadu or for Karnataka. That is not the issue. I'm saying we bloody well understand how important this whole thing is. Why is also water so important to the corporate sector? आप ये जान लीजिए प्लीज कि एक ही नेचुरल रिसोर्स बचा है दुनिया में जो पूरा प्राइवेटाइज नहीं हुआ. 90% पानी दुनिया में ड्रिंकिंग वाटर 90% है पब्लिक कॉरपोरेशंस, लोकल गवर्नमेंट्स का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर से आपको मिलती है. 10%, ओनली 10% इज प्राइवेटाइज्ड. That leaves, and that 10% already is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. दो कंपनी Veolia और Suez, दोनों फ्रेंच कंपनीज हैं, दोनों फ्रेंच मल्टीनेशनल्स हैं. ये वाटर जो 10% इंटरनेशनल प्राइवेट वाटर मार्केट है, उनमें से 80% ये दो कंपनी के हाथ में है, वियोलिया और सुएज, दोनों फ्रेंच कंपनीज, एंड बोथ हैव बीन इन्वॉल्व्ड इन वाटर फॉर सिंस द 19th century, लेट 19th century, ओके। और ये है, और खबर ये है उन दोनों के बीच में मर्जर हो रहा है इस साल। That is a $15 billion merger as company value. Water bought and in the now this water privatization thing is a big deal. India में भी have started quite a bit. सबसे पहली बात ये 2003 में छत्तीसगढ़ में, उस जमाने में मध्य प्रदेश का कोने था, नहीं छत्तीसगढ़ थे, छत्तीसगढ़, रमन सिंह का जब मुख्यमंत्री था, अरे we became one of the first nations in the world to privatize a river. शियोनाथ नदी का 19 किलोमीटर, मैंने उस समय फ्रंटलाइन में लिखा, 19 किलोमीटर प्राइवेट मैनेजमेंट में दे दिया। ये नहीं देखा कि इनलैंड फिशिंग कम्युनिटीज हैं वहाँ, ये नहीं देखा कि धोबी कम्युनिटीज हैं वहाँ जो ये पानी मैंने पढ़ के सोचा कि देखो ये गवर्नमेंट हैज गॉट टायर्ड ऑफ सेलिंग पीपल डाउन द रिवर, दे जस्ट डिसाइडेड टू सेल द रिवर। एक समय कर दो, क्यों बड़े बड़े ब्यूरोक्रेटिक चीज़ क्यों लेना चाहिए उसके ऊपर। वाटर बॉटलिंग कंपनीज, बॉटल्ड वाटर कंपनीज, उसका वैल्यू 2024 में बॉटल्ड वाटर कंपनीज का वैल्यू 366 बिलियन डॉलर्स है। बॉटल्ड वाटर कंपनीज का, बॉटलिंग वाटर कंपनीज का वैल्यू, मार्केट वैल्यू ऑफ बॉटल्ड वाटर। इसका देखो, इसका मतलब है कि ये water is the last frontier of privatization unless we start on oxygen. वो भी शुरू हो गया क्योटो प्रोटोकॉल्स में, पे एंड पोल्यूट, वो है एक बेसिस है, एक फ्रेमवर्क है उसके लिए, बट वाटर इज द लास्ट नेचुरल रिसोर्स which has not been privatized more than 10-12%. तो ये है, और ये you should all know this. नागपुर में कर दिया, पूरा नागपुर मॉडल है वहाँ ऑफ प्राइवेटाइजिंग डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन। ये प्राइवेट कंपनीज, दे विल नॉट कम टू ले पाइप्स, दे विल नॉट कम टू एक्सप्लोर फॉर वाटर, दे विल कम एंड टेक पब्लिक वाटर एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूट इट एंड मेक द मनी फ्रॉम दैट, उससे पैसा बनाते हैं। और एक वर्ल्ड ग्लोबल स्टडी है, फूड एंड वाटर वॉच, एक अमेरिकन एनजीओ है वो, और वो प्राइवेट सेक्टर चार्ज वाटर सर्विसेज के लिए, सीवरेज सर्विसेज चार्ज वाटर प्राइस के लिए कंपेयर किया प्राइवेट सेक्टर और पब्लिक और लोकल गवर्नमेंट्स का कॉस्ट डिफरेंस। प्राइवेट सेक्टर चार्जेस 59% more for water services on average than local government. 59% ज़्यादा. It is costlier by almost 60%. Private sector charge for water services. और सीवरेज सर्विसेज के लिए प्राइवेट सेक्टर चार्जेस आर 63% higher than local government charges. That's a study across many nations that Food and Water Watch did. और देखिए ये this is continuing despite enormous evidence that water privatization has failed miserably. Nigeria, riots, huge problems until the IMF was forced to withdraw. World Bank, Johannesburg, huge slums in the riots in the townships and slums. World Bank was forced to withdraw. तब भी इज, बट द मनी इज टू मच. The money is too much. As I tell all my journalist colleagues and students, your first duty in journalism is follow the money. Somebody somewhere has to make money for these policies to justify themselves. Follow the money. So you are going to see an intensification for privatization of water. Yeah. Or see these mega mergers. Abhi what's it, Veolia or Suez का merger होगा, that will expand the profits and monopolies fabulously, but it will shrink the commons. It will shrink the public commons, which includes water for me. That's what is going to happen. ठीक है. और जब मैंने पानी का रंग का एक टाइटल दिया, उसका मतलब क्या है मैं दिखा रहा हूं आपको. आई होप यू आर ऑल एबल टू सी दैट स्क्रीन देयर. पानी का रंग है क्या? हाँ जी. अगर आप हाइड्रोलॉजिस्ट हो तो पानी का 3 रंग है, 4 रंग भी कहते हैं वो लोग. हाइड्रोलॉजिस्ट लोग तो बहुत एक्सेंट्रिक लोग हैं. उसका देसी कलर इन एवरीथिंग. तो ये है उसका पहला है ग्रीन वाटर. Green water represents rainfall a bit circuitously. मतलब such water is stored in plant roots where it naturally vaporizes or helps to grow by a process which is called trans-evaporation. Actually, I managed to pronounce it, but okay. Trans-evaporation कहता है जो उसका this water comes out and is enriching the soil. It's coming from the soil from rainfall stored in the roots of plants. Second is blue water or surface and groundwater. It vaporizes naturally from the soil. Then it is your rivers, your lakes, water bodies emerging from the glaciers. It invariably concerns mainly irrigation of crops, agriculture, industry, and domestic water use, such as flowers, irrigation, or cooking. Water use. And then there is grey water. Grey water is contaminated, जो industrial waste से contaminate होते हैं, जो पानी पहले यूज कर चुका है, उसको grey water कहते हैं. But by different outlets, this contaminated water is drained into a flowing water source or sent to wastewater treatment plants. It is also water that is used to dilute industrial water and urban effluents to meet the required quality standards. You make what you want of that. I have nothing to say about it. It's very ridiculous to me, but this is how it is classified. So you do have clearly 3 kinds of water, which categories I do understand. Blue water, which is about the natural, the lakes, the rivers, the waters coming out of the ground, the water coming out of soil moisture, green waters, nourishing the plants, also being stored in its roots, and the polluted water that we try reusing called grey water. Now, for me, the crisis of how do I understand what happens with water in India? आप समझ सकते हैं वाटर का संकट, पानी का संकट आप समझ सकते हैं. फ्रेमवर्क मेरा है कि 8 ट्रांसफर चलता है हमारा देश के अंदर. 8 ट्रांसफर, 6 ट्रांसफर पहला बताता हूं और 2 ट्रांसफर अलग है जो सुपर ट्रांसफर कह सकते हैं. और उससे पहले आपको मैं बताता हूं हिंदुस्तान का वाटर सिचुएशन, अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ वाटर पर कैपिटा आप देख लीजिए. 1951 में 5174 cubic meters. In 1951 we had 5177 cubic meters. उसके बाद 2001 में 50 साल में 1816 क्यूबिक मीटर्स, मतलब 60% गिर गई. It fell to 1816 cubic meters. 2011 सेंसस के समय 1545 क्यूबिक मीटर्स तक गिर गई. और इस साल 2025 का लेटेस्ट नंबर है 341 cubic meter, 1341 cubic meters. That is, in 75 years, the per capita availability has fallen more than 70%. It has fallen 70% plus. That is, and these are the most authentic, most accurate figures we have, and they are complete nonsense. Why do I say they are nonsense? Because you are only looking at human beings. There are 10 million other species on your planet. What about their has anyone calculated the per capita availability of the sambal or of the elephant? Every year, Ashok, in Maharashtra, animals from the forest enter from Andheri, Tadoba, from the other forests of Yavatmal and other parts of Vidarbha. They're entering the towns because there is no water in the forest. Okay? Animals are, so I'm saying this figure looks horrible to you, but it's only counting human beings. You have at least 10 million other species on a planet you call the water planet. Earth is called the water planet. Every living being on this, unless somebody has invented dryland bacteria, is dependent on water. So you see how serious that crisis is. Now this, as I said, chain transfer hai, jo basic, all the transfers are informed by class, caste and gender. The first 6 transfers are like sectoral transfers. They all have overlaps, but they are also having distinct features. First transfer, poor to rich. Second transfer, rural to urban. Third transfer, agriculture to industry. Fourth transfer, agriculture ke andar, food crop to cash crop. Fifth transfer, livelihood to lifestyles. You're going to enjoy seeing the slides on that one. Our 6th transfer, virtual water exports. Not many people are familiar with the concept of virtual water exports. इसका मतलब है, virtual water exports का मतलब है, अगर आप 10 लाख टन पैडी एक्सपोर्ट करेंगे, उसमें कितना पानी यूज किया गया, उसको वर्चुअल वाटर एक्सपोर्ट्स कहते हैं. Only progressive economists use this concept, nobody else. That so much water has gone with that. A country like Jordan has passed a law, at least a government rule, regulation, that virtual water imports must match virtual water exports. They've tried balancing, I don't know how it's worked. But yes, 6th transfer hai. Then there are 2 basic, now all these are intersectoral transfers. But there are 2 sections, your most disadvantaged sections of Indian society, जहां transfer पूरा समाज को होता है. 2 groups of people. 1, women, poor women to everybody else in society. मित्रों, इस देश में 80% पानी कलेक्शन होता है poor women. Poor women account for the collection of 80% of water in this country. Do you know how many work days that is? 150 million work days. 15 करोड़ वर्किंग डे का काम देते हैं हिंदुस्तान का महिला लोग, और सब महिला लोग नहीं, गरीब महिला लोग, ये है reality. This is a transfer from women to everybody else in society, from poor women to everybody else. The second pan-societal transfer, Adivasis, Dalits and other marginalized communities, they also transfer to everybody. Okay, now I will tell you, for instance, मैं रहता हूँ मुंबई में, एक जगह है, एक कॉलोनी है, बांद्रा रेक्लेमेशन. My wife and I went to Bandra Reclamation 36 years ago. The colony has been there 38 years. Okay? महाराष्ट्र में 3-4 ड्राउट हो चुका है 1986 तक, 86 से. We have never had a water cut. Never. 1 घंटा का वाटर कट नहीं हुआ हमारा घर में. और पूरा हमारा पानी और पूरा मुंबई का पानी 5 लेक से आती है, आदिवासियों इलाकों, थाने, फालगर, वैतरना, तुलसी, नाम भूल गया, तानसा, वैतरना, तुलसी. From 5 lakes in the Adivasi territory, Mumbai gets its water. अभी 7 लेक हो गया, 2 लेक और डिस्कवर हो गया, वो भी लूट कर रहे हैं हम. लेकिन कहानी ये है, अगर आप वही आदिवासी इलाकों में जाइए, अंदर इंटीरियर वाला गांव में, एक भी घर में आपको पाइप्ड कनेक्शन नहीं मिलेगा. कितने घर में पाइप्ड कनेक्शन है इंटीरियर विलेजेस? मोकाड़ा में है क्या? सो दोज हुज वाटर इट इज, दे हैव नो पाइप्ड कनेक्शन. But Mumbai gets 24 hours water from them. Then of course there is a class divide within the city. Some areas will get 80-100 liters per day if they are lucky. And Malabar Hill, Bandra, these can get thousands of liters per capita per day, even without any effort whatsoever. So these two, the first 6 transfers, poor to rich, urban to rural, livelihoods to lifestyles, food crop to cash crop, agriculture to industry, virtual water exports, those are sectoral, national, international and international transfers. But these two, women, Adivasis, Dalits and other. Now the Adivasi Dalit transfer is different. For 1,500 years, this country has had a very clear caste geography. आप कहीं भी जाके देखो, दलित बस्ती कहाँ होती है? In the layout of the village. 90% of the time, the Dalit basti is on the southern outskirts of the village. क्यों? इसलिए कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादातर streams, nalas, नदियाँ, ये सब, they flow from north to south. In India, basically, not always, but mainly. और देखिए, ये अगर आप गांव का लेआउट लेंगे तो आप देख सकते हैं, from historic times, upper caste still at the upper waters, intermediate caste still at the intermediate waters, Shudras still at the tail waters, and Dalits, Mlechas are kept out of the water circuit altogether. Okay? That is how your irrigation has been laid out for more than 1,000 years. There is a religious rationalization for putting the Dalits in the south. Your grandmothers or great-grandmothers will tell you that the layout of the village is in the south, keeps the Dalits on the southern outskirts, because Lord Yama prowls the villages at nights. And Lord Yama dwells to the south. So if he is in the mood for a snack, you're it. That is the religion. However, how bogus this rationalization and other religious rationalizations, you can see simply by going to a state where the water flows are different, like Rajasthan. In Rajasthan, the Dalit bastis will be on the east, in Barmer, for instance, it will be on the east of the village. Okay, the Raigars of Rajasthan are people who flay hides, what do you say? They skin the animal, they flay the hide, they do a lot of that work. How can you have, when the winds are coming in from the west, how can you have the sacred nostrils of the upper castes offended by the activity of the Raigars? So the Raigars are on the east of the village. So this logic changes according to water and wind flows. Okay? You have a really clear caste geography for over 1,000 years in this country. I remember working in the village where, I think Kavita will remember, Gumana Kathala. What a lovely name. Gumana's well. Gumana Kathala, Barmer mein. Yeah. So where we could see the pattern, how different it was from the rest of the country. Yeah. So it's like this. Adivasi water transfer takes place by appropriation and expropriation. Dalit water transfer has already taken place by exclusion. One is appropriation, the other is exclusion. So that's how it works. Am I confusing you? Don't worry, I will at some point. But that's the thing. Okay, now I bring you to the transfer of livelihoods to lifestyles. If you just get on any time, go home tonight and look at your internet and look for homes with swimming pools. This is the greatest rage in the metros for the last 10 years. Mumbai is, of course, always at the forefront, not Ahmedabad or Gandhinagar, but Mumbai. So Amchi Mumbai is at the forefront of this.
I love Mumbai. You will be surprised to see what Mumbai's real estate can offer you. The most crazy feature of this apartment. In your deck, you have a private swimming pool that offers you tremendous view of Arabian Sea. I love Mumbai. Truly, Mumbai's real estate is something to look forward to. Owning an apartment like this just fills you with a different set of mindset, sets you with bigger goals, and definitely rejuvenates your body, mind, and soul.
This is your private swimming pool, and that is your private terrace. Your shower, your fun party zone, whatever you wish to feel like. You have 2 rain showers, you have your jacuzzi down. This will be roughly about 3 feet deep on the deepest end. Bedroom straight out. This is the highlight of this property. This space.
This is the one that our people most covet. It's a swimming pool in London which attaches 2 buildings by pure extra heavy glass. Very close to the US Embassy in London. And this is what our builders in Mumbai are planning to emulate. Ads. I showed you the video ads. Look at the newspaper ads. And buyers are willing to shell out extra for a small water body in the house. Why do people set up why do they set up home theaters when they can go to a multiplex? Because of comfort, privacy. In your own houses, there is privacy and comfort. One no longer needs to fill up forms for a water sports club to indulge into pool activity. You can have it at your rooftop, basement, or at your own backyard in the family, says the managing director of an architecture firm. There are hundreds of ads like this. And there are hundreds of households in Mumbai where apartments have swimming pools. One which I'm very proud to say we managed to stop by making a lot of noise is this one. 75 households, 75 apartments, each with its own balcony swimming pool. Every single balcony has a swimming pool. Okay? And you can see this. That's how it would have looked. That was the plan. This is how it would have looked at night in the architect's vision or nightmare, as the case may be. Yeah? Notice that there are 10 floors of parking so that you can create your own private climate crisis. Yeah? And this is the drone view of that building. Luckily, a lot of noise was made. The building is there, the pools are there, the water hasn't been given. It will at some point. This is Borivali Ashok. Aqua Grandia is the name of the building. Now, this is this very ugly Mumbaikar Novo-ish, every apartment a flat. I am from Chennai. We are a more cultured and refined people. We allow only one every 3 floors. Yeah? So, one every 3rd floor. Much more restraint culturally, we show. Yeah. So my favorite is when you drive down from, I've been taking these pictures for 15 years. My favorite is the hoardings you get when you drive from Mumbai to Pune, where every hoarding will boast of the swimming pool. And my favorite is this one, luxury homes with an attached forest reserve. In Maharashtra, we struggle, the damn tiger struggles to have a forest reserve, but you have and by the way, Marvel is a really big real estate company. It's a giant. It's not your 2-bit Pune outskirts builder. He's a big shot. And that, of course, is the London one with the, you can see, you can swim there and you can wave at all the miserable people in the traffic below because it's across a big road. Okay, all these are ads for the villas, for the households, for the pools, kids and gated communities. This ad tells me why kids love gated communities. Because they get to make many more friends, and gated communities have larger space. Parents are also happy since the children indulge in activities without troubling them. This is the big thing in life, not to be troubled by the kids. Right? So, this is yet another thing. Guys, coming to the inequality part of it, we'll come back to the 3 remaining transfers, but coming to the inequality part of it. The water inequalities and the water injustice are a mirror of the larger inequalities in your society. Okay? Let me give you a picture of that. When people are dying for agriculture water, do you know that the fight over water in agriculture sees killing of brother by brother? In Kurnool, there is a very famous case of a younger brother murdering an older brother in a fight not over property, not over land. What happened? The father had 20 acres. It was divided among 4 sons, each got about 5 acres. But one son got the 5 acres with all the borewells, because the borewells tend to be concentrated. If you find water in one borewell, you'll immediately put another near it. So, the younger brother killed his eldest brother in the fight over who should get that 5 acres with the borewell. Yeah? And in this kind of a thing, the inequalities are incredible in your society, which reflect down to this level. In 1991, 1991 में इस देश में $1 अरबपति नहीं रहा, एक भी नहीं था 1991 में, जिस साल में आपका, अभी हम कहते हैं नया आर्थिक नीति, लेकिन अभी 30 साल पुराना है, 30 साल से ज़्यादा अभी. तो ये नया आर्थिक नीति जब से आया, हर साल हमने पहले 2 अरबपति, 3 अरबपति, 20 साल का एवरेज $4.5 अरबपति इस देश में. फिर कोविड आ गया. In 1 year, India added 42 billionaires where we were adding 4 billionaires a year. In the first 12 months of COVID, all my numbers are from the global oracle of big business and capitalism, which is Forbes. Okay? There are now other estimates which make the number of billionaires higher, but I prefer to trust Forbes because Steve Forbes, the owner of Forbes, was very honestly explicit about his pro-capitalist stand. His aircraft bears the logo Forbes Capitalist Tool. He has that painted on his private aircraft, Forbes Capitalist Tool. He's very proud of it. So I prefer to trust him than the Chinese Hurun thing. Okay. Now suddenly we have 200, I'm showing you a figure of 207, but actually today latest is we have 211 dollar billionaires whose cumulative wealth is equal to 26% of your gross domestic product, recalling the entire other meaning of gross. Have a look. These are the figures. India's $200 billionaires, 974 billion. Please read it as 1049 billion. It has gone up since then. This is an August 15, 2024 figure. It has gone up from 974 billion to 1049 billion. Guys, we are talking $1 trillion here. We are saying that 211 Indians, which is 0.0000014%, 0.0000014% पॉपुलेशन का, वो लोग जीडीपी का, उनका वेल्थ जो है, उनका धन दौलत जो है, जीडीपी का 27% है. समझे? That is inequality for you. That is the height of your inequality. Now let us compare that to people working in agriculture. Let's see what happens. You know, after all, the promise of capitalism is you work hard, you can also be an Ambani, you can also be an Adani. तो मैंने ये चेक किया because I was very excited. I can also be an Adani. तो ये चेक किया. अच्छा, ये जो इंडियन देशी अरबपति का जो $1 trillion है, that is 1.7 times India's budget expenditure. 1.7 times India's total budget expenditure और 62 गुना बड़ा है आपका agricultural budget. 62 times higher than your agricultural budget. That is the figure of 974 billion. India's estimated agricultural budget was 1.25 lakh crore or 15.62 billion US dollars. Ambani's net worth, सिर्फ मुकेश अंबानी का वर्थ है $118 बिलियन, वो 7.5 गुना आपका एग्रीकल्चर एक्सपेंडिचर से बड़ा है. मुकेश अंबानी's net worth converts to 9.18 trillion rupees. मैंने सोचा देखो यार ये कैपिटलिज्म जो क्लेम करती है, लेट अस गिव देम अ चांस. जैसा 1991 में लोग मुझको बताया यार आपका सोशलिज्म सब ट्राई किया, यार इसको भी एक चांस दे दो. तो बड़े बड़े ओपिनियन कॉलमिस्ट ऐसा लिखा था, लेट अस गिव देम अ चांस. तो मैंने देखा अगर हु इज़ अ कॉमन इंडियन, कॉमन मैन नहीं, इसलिए कि जो लेबर करते हैं वो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा कॉमन वुमेन है, स्पेशली MNREG में. तो MNREG का कैन आई accumulate as much money as Mukesh Ambani by working on the MNREGA. MNREGA national average wage is 289 rupees. To my delight, I found I can. थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा. 340.6 मिलियन साल 340.6 million years. But suppose I am modest. I don't want to make as much as Ambani has earned. वो उनका पिताजी, दादाजी सब किया ना. Suppose I want to make only as much as he earns in a year. He has frozen his salary. He's a very generous and noble person. 10 साल पहले सैलरी का फ्रीज किया रिलायंस इंडस्ट्रीज ने 15 करोड़. 15 करोड़ सिर्फ RIL से. दूसरी जगह से 100 जगह है जिससे पगार मिलती है उनको, लेकिन 15 करोड़. सपोज आई एम एन NREGS हाउस होल्ड. 15 करोड़ कितना साल लगेगा? मच लेस, 5,009 साल लगेगा. 5,190 साल लगेगा. The wealth of our $200 billionaires is over 100 times the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. उससे आप 2% टैक्स करो यार. You will be able to run the MNREGS for 45 years without taking any further money. On a 2%. 10% tax, you will be able to run it for 121 years. The enhanced MNREGS budget is 9.37 billion US dollars. Mukesh Ambani's worth is 118.8 billion Arab dollar. Now, I said, some 2 sections make gigantic transfers. Now, the peculiarity of women's transfer, महिला जो ट्रांसफर करते हैं पानी, इसका peculiarity, उनका peculiarity ये है कि they collect the most water, but they have the least access to it. That is again something that is not commonly understood here. आप देखिए, what happens to water, women and the world? 1.8 billion people with no drinking water on premises. In 2 out of 3 households, women are primarily responsible for water collection. Fewer than 50 countries with laws or policies specifically mention women participation in rural sanitation or water resources management. For more than 1 million women and girls, wash services are their second most important demand to quality reproductive and maternal health after dignified and respectful care. 1 million deaths each year are associated with unclean births. Infections account for 26% of neonatal deaths and 11% of maternal mortality. While supplying almost half of all agricultural labor, women's agricultural productivity is on average 20 to 30% lower than that of male farmers. Wash का मतलब है without safety managed पानी, sanitation, hygiene services, wash services. Women and लड़कियां और महिला और लड़कियां, वो ज़्यादा vulnerable है to abuse, attack and ill health, जो उनका एबिलिटी अफेक्ट करता है पानी काम करने के लिए, पढ़ाई करने के लिए. Simply put, women account for 80% of water collection but seem to have the least access to it. ये हमारा पारी में पार्थ, MN पार्थ ने रिपोर्ट किया, शालूबाई चबान लातूर में, even in the heat there is some guilt when I drink some water, because all her life is going collecting water for the family and sometimes to sell. Most of the women share in the task of water collection. Besides being burdened, carrying the water, transporting it over long distances. Indian women collectively devote 150 million work days a year to water collection. You can find that cited in International Development Enterprises and in UN. All of this is unpaid work. It is unpaid work. देखो, हिंदुस्तान में दो इंटरेस्टिंग चीज है. On the laws of gravity, water flows downwards. Physically, water flows down. हिंदुस्तान में socially, water flows upwards. आप ट्रांसफर्स देखिए, ओके, ये भी देखिए 1990 सर्वे में ये दिखा गया, जहाँ उसका वो सर्वे का कहना है, मेरा कहना नहीं, वो कहा कि बहुत सारा सेक्टर में देखा कास्ट सेंटिमेंट थोड़ा डिक्लाइन हुई इंडिपेंडेंस तक 1990 में लेकिन पानी की मामला में कास्ट सेंटिमेंट बढ़ गई, कास्ट सेंटिमेंट इंक्रीज्ड when it came to water. The personal safety, abuse and assault, health, long journeys, time taken away from doing other things, education. The time taken by girls hurts their education a lot. The time taken by women is estimated to be a loss of about 100 crores in income. Equality, there in poor water sanitation, women and girls are at the very bottom. अभी जो मैंने आपको दिखाया वो बोर्ड, villas with attached forest reserve, this is how, very close by to those ads, this is how poor people collect water. सुबह 2 बजे 3 बजे से पॉट का क्यू लग जाती है. और देखिए, look at this Adivasi woman making a national saving, which by the way is a crime in Yavatmal, I think it was, or Amravati. She is saving water from a leaking municipal tank and pouring it into another vessel. When she has filled, please notice, she is standing on 5 stones to be able to reach it. She is balancing on 5 bricks and stones. Then she fills up both lotas, carries them. Luckily, she is not very far away. Her home was just 300 meters. And she did this 40 times. So Jaideep Hardikar and I, we calculated that this woman has walked 12 kilometers in front of us, 6 of those kilometers carrying 30-40 liters of water. I mean, have a heart for those who actually are at the receiving end of India's water exploitative structures. Now, the rural to urban. Look at Maharashtra. Priyanka Kakodkar, that then Times of India, even now Times of India correspondent, used RTIs to see the difference between urban consumption and rural consumption. Nearly 55% of Maharashtra is rural, 45% urban. The cities in Maharashtra get 400% more water than the villages of Maharashtra from where the water emanates. The water emanates from there. As in villages from the state's dams, notified rivers, and this, by the way, is the figure of the GWSD and the Water Supply Department. Second, in urban areas, annual reservation for drinking water is 4,843 million cubic meters. In rural areas, 1,033 million cubic meters. That is 4.7 times more water urban Maharashtra gets than rural Maharashtra. Urban areas are entitled to 135 to 150 liters of water per person per day. For the state's rural areas, 40 to 70 liters per day. 18 water slides. There are 18 ways in which you can get wet in 47 degrees heat. And the amount paid to the village panchayat is 45,000 rupees annually. In the season, Fun and Food Village makes more than 45,000 rupees in a single day. Anyway, when I wrote this story, it got closed down. And my story got carried in the NCERT textbooks. Last year, 2 years ago, the Modi government dropped that story from NCERT and the Fun and Food Village has reopened. But I'm not too unhappy because I was in very good company. I got kicked out in the same bunch as Charles Darwin. Yeah. So my old friend, my old police commissioner rather, SP Singh, who was also junior education, Satyapal Singh, who was also junior education minister, argued one day before me in Lucknow on a platform. He said, what is all this Darwin nonsense? There is no scientific proof at all of Darwin. It's a fraud because, and he had a very good point. He said, has anyone gone into the jungle and seen apes turn into men? Next day when I spoke there, the audience demanded that I address that question. I said, he's my old police commissioner. I respect him. And I have to say that he has one solid point. No one of us has gone into the jungle and seen apes turn into men. But we are a privileged generation. We get to watch Satyapalji and his cabinet colleagues achieve the reverse process. Yeah. Now there are two industries which are extremely crucial. It starts around March, April in Maharashtra. One is the tanker industry. And the second is the borewell industry, which is nationally important. Tanker, by the way, we all think of huge, sophisticated things like ships and things. A tanker is 3 millimeter mild steel rolled up. On a hand lathe also you can make it. It can take water from 500 liters to 25,000 liters. This is Rauri outside Nagar, Ahmed Nagar, which of course is giving some other name these days that I can't pronounce. And here people, when you're looking at these transfers, you are looking at the thirst economy. According to me, the two greatest crops in the world are not rice and wheat. The two greatest crops in the world are hunger and thirst. And for millennia, people have made money out of exploiting these two crops, the biggest crops. You know, Rabindranath Tagore said 110 years ago, food is a source of great wealth. Food production is a source of great misery. Could not have been better put than that. That is what is happening. And those farmers who are dying, they're struggling for water. One of their biggest struggles is for water. This is the hand lathe on which your grand tankers are made. They are rolled, that steel is rolled on that at Rauri and made. By the way, all these tanker making companies are owned by MLAs either present or ex. Ministers either present or ex. Now this is a 1.5 crore borewell rig. I met the proud owner. It was new at that time. And his name was Mr. Shelke. And he was very proud of his rig and was happy to talk to me about it. I asked him what it cost. He said 1.5 crores. And I said, oh my God, how? You must be up to your neck in debt. He said, Nana, I recovered all the money, paid off all the interest, 4 months. 4 months. He paid off a loan of 1.5 crores. Because the desperation to sink bore wells for water is so great. Those of you who are from Tamil Nadu or Kerala, you'll know of a place town in Tamil Nadu called Tiruchengood. This is it's the borewell capital of the world. Do you know of Tiruchengood? It's about 20 minutes drive from Erode. And Tiruchengood has about 20,000 borewell rigs, though they will insist when you speak to them it's not more than 10,000, because they have registered 10,000 in Kerala and Karnataka to avoid income tax, which is all right. I mean, they're small businessmen, ex-farmers who in the drought of 1976 went into this business. Now, I really need you to follow the math on this. Just one town, if we accept their figure of 10,000 borewells, they explained the economics of the borewell rigging to me. They said, no day we can do less, it's a losing proposition if we do not drill 1,000 feet in a day. If it is soft soil, it is 1,000 feet. If it is hard rock like Maharashtra, 93% of the state of Maharashtra soil is hard rock. There they have to drill 1,400 feet. Okay, so so it is much more expensive to drill in hard rock. So either they have to drill 1,000 feet in hard rock or 1,400 feet in soft soil to make the money they need. Do you know what that means? I asked them, how many days in a year do you do drilling? As I was talking to them, borewell rigs were coming back from Mizoram. Yeah, they have had borewell rigs in Cherrapunji. Okay, there were borewell rigs coming back from Rajasthan. They said only 2 months in the year, in the monsoon months, we repair and service the rig. 300 days we are on the... I said, okay, no, this is too much for me because let's minus the travel time. I did this story for the Hindu. We minus the travel time. I take a very conservative estimate, 200 days of borewell, 1,000 feet a day. If 10,000 borewell rigs are rigging 1,000 feet a day for 200 days a year, it means every year the borewell rigs of one town are digging 2 billion feet into the aquifer. 2 billion feet. And that's just one town. Similar towns are coming up in Gujarat and Punjab. Borewell towns. Manufacturers of borewell towns. So this is the tanker economy and the borewell economy. These are the foundations of your thirst economy. Nothing ever happens without these two. Oh, you'll be very pleased to know that there is unity and diversity in the borewell rigs. I'm walking along the highway in Latur, Aurangabad, that side, in Marathwada, and a borewell rig passes me. It will have 15 to 20 employees in a van following it. And I heard Tamil voices, and I heard people from Jharkhand, and I heard people with that sweet sing-song Chhattisgarhi, and I stopped the thing. We stopped them and I spoke to them. So I asked the Tamil owner, the cook was a Malayali, accountant was from Karnataka. I asked the Tamil owner, Are yaar, how come you are traveling with this pan-Indian force of boys from Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Bihar, and why not from Tamil Nadu? You have high unemployment. He said, Ayyo sir, enna solla mudiyum. What can I say, sir? In Tamil Nadu, those fellows, they don't come out for less than 500 rupees a day. And I said, and these boys, sir, they're happy if I give them 200. They work very hard. Okay, there is your unity in diversity or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And look at these kids digging for water down a tube with their hands. Yeah? This is Vidarbha, that was Marathwada. Oh yes, and the last part of the thing where I want to come to your thing is, what the few things have done so much damage in water in urban areas and beautified, upgraded towns and villages as religious tourism has done in Maharashtra. In 2016, the 6 great rivers for the first time in 139 years, the Godavari ran dry in 2016. So my friend Jaideep and I, we drove to the source of 6 rivers. We drove to the source of Godavari, to the source of Krishna, to the source, of course in Mahabaleshwar there are 5 rivers originating, Gayatri, Savitri, all of them. And we tried, you know what we found? In the name of beautification, the marbling which is done now in Ayodhya and elsewhere, every religious town where the river emanates has been covered with marble concrete. There is no space for the soil to breathe, no space for the water to flow under. I think you will find this in Char Dham, I think you will find this wherever you go. So what happens there? the in Godavari emanates from the Brahmagiri mountain. The water comes down into a Ganga Sagar, which then flows through from the town founded at the Ganga Sagar, Trimbakeshwar. Trimbak, the town of Trimbak. Now, will you believe it or not? In summer, the town of Trimbakeshwar, the birth town of Godavari, was getting water once in 3 days. Because the water was blocked. There was the concretization, beautification. Meanwhile, the Godavari has a very special place, not so special as Varanasi, but it has a Shani Snan and it has a burial ghat. People put the whole body into the river. Or the cremated, if you're a tribal, the whole body or whatever, and some people, the cremated remains of the body. So that is called the Ramakunda. The Ramakunda went dry, exposing hundreds and hundreds of tons of human remains going back 1,000 years. The bold, brave government of Maharashtra, the dynamic young chief minister Devendra Fadnavis, he was CM then also, declared, it was a joint Sena BJP municipal council. He declared, you cannot have this. You cannot have the Ramakunda go dry. You cannot have the Godavari go dry. So my dear, क्या किया इन लोग? हर दिन 120 टैंकर लाके रामकुंडा में पानी डाला. The first nation in the world to pour tanker water into a river. The rest of us pour river water into tankers. But the bold, brave government of Maharashtra, to keep that bones covered, to keep the dead remains covered, was putting 120 tankers of water into the Ramakunda. We landed up when the tankers were servicing people. वहाँ तो होगा ये शनि स्नान, where you bathe in the sacred waters of the Godavari in the Ramakunda. So I said, I want to see the bathing in the sacred waters. We did see people bathing in the sacred waters of the tanker. देखो वहाँ. So the sacred waters of the tanker, had water. There, another picture for you. You can see how many tanker pipelines there are. Can you imagine? We kept a river. We kept flowing for I don't know how many months. Okay, but that is the story of religious tourism in Maharashtra. And food crop to cash crop. I'll run through the remaining two very quickly. Agriculture to industry, you're seeing in the bottling industries. You've seen struggles all over this country. Coca-Cola के खिलाफ, Pepsi के खिलाफ, वो पालक्काड में जो हुआ, ये उत्तर प्रदेश में जो हुआ, बहुत सारी जगह में वो वाटर बैटल्स अगेंस्ट कोका-कोला. महाराष्ट्र में कोका-कोला जब आया पहले, हमने दिया उनको पानी 5 पैसा पर लीटर. अभी भी औरंगाबाद मराठवाड़ा रीजन में एवरी समर गरीब लोग खड़े हो जाते हैं, गरीब महिला ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा क्यू में लग जाती है वहाँ, और बिगिनिंग ऑफ द स्कैरसिटी सीजन 45 पैसा लीटर. पीक ऑफ द स्कैरसिटी सीजन वो हो जाएगा 1 रुपया पर लीटर. और उसी मराठवाड़ा औरंगाबाद रीजन में 24 अल्कोहल फैक्ट्रीज है, जिसको मिलता है 40 साल उनको मिला 1 पैसा पर लीटर. फिर हमारा एनजीओ मित्रों, कॉमरेड सब बड़ा स्ट्रगल लिया और 4 गुना बढ़ गया, आज 5 पैसा दे रहे. ये है उसका. दिस इज द स्टोरी ऑफ the transfers of water from poor to rich, food crop to cash crop. From Punjab we can actually start seeing rice as a cash crop. It is an export crop. It's not so heavily consumed there. Rice, wheat, and sugarcane are the large. You know what? I was talking about virtual water exports. वो virtual water exports का transfer, अगर आप 1 million tons गेहूं या चावल एक्सपोर्ट करेंगे, उसमें जितना पानी जल चुका है वो जा चुका है, वो that is counted as virtual water exports. Thailand and India are ranking highest in the world in water exports via rice. We use apparently 4,000 to 5,000 liters per ton of rice in the processing and sending. So that is the transfer, that is the virtual water export. And food crop to cash crop from 91, जब ये नया आर्थिक नीति आया, उस साल से ज़्यादा हमने कैश क्रॉप को ध्यान दिया. वी एम्फसाइज्ड कैश क्रॉप. देखिए, शुगर केन, कोई भी कह सकता है एक एकड़ शुगर केन कितना लीटर पानी लेती है? 1.8 करोड़ लीटर. 18 million liters of water per acre of sugar cane. 18 million लीटर कितना बनती है? It is equal to 7.5 Olympic sized swimming pools और 9 Boeing Dreamliners. और शरद पवार साहब ने रोजेस भी ला गया बारामती में. That takes even more water than sugar cane. 21 million liter per acre. So you look at the way we are using what, the story of today is what we have done to water. Yeah? What caste society, gendered society has done to water. That is the whole thing. And on the minus side of that sheet, Maharashtra has seen a 7-fold increase in drought events, 6-fold increase in extreme drought, flood events in the last 30 years. Okay? So we know this. Since 2000, in the last 25 years, Maharashtra has seen 102 drought events, which is a protracted period of time without precipitation or water. So, and on top of all this, we have precipitated. ये सब हिसाब करके क्या आता है? क्लाइमेट संकट, क्लाइमेट क्राइसिस. लेकिन वो अलग भाषण है, अलग दिन के लिए रखते हैं. But all this adds up to the climate crisis. Each of them is not a climate crisis. In some, पूरा हिसाब करके, it becomes like that. You can see, typically in Andhra at this time, like my friend here, he is a water diviner walking around with a coconut. People spend millions of rupees searching for any way of getting water. He goes with a coconut and he says the coconut will tell him where to find the water. So I asked his customer, "Pani mila?" Kuch. He said in chaste Telugu, "The only water we found was in the fucking coconut." And वो उसने कहा. Then this is a guy who is doing it with a twig. Another guy, do you know in Anantapur, people are taking pipelines from graveyards and cemeteries where water has been found. This gentleman in the village of Garladine, Janardana Reddy, has put 8 kilometers of pipeline, plastic pipeline. And one of his neighbors, who is his rival, cuts the pipeline and he's dead. So this is your India's virtual water exports. I've already told you. What do we do about it? In a minute, what are the possibilities that we can do? Apart from, first and foremost, is that we have to look at water in the framework of water justice. We have to look at water in the framework of water inequalities, in struggles for water justice. Water is not a commercial good. I'm not going to say water is a human right, because it is a right of all the species that share the planet with us. ये सिर्फ इंसान का right नहीं है, हर जानवर का भी right है. Water as a basic fundamental right for the living on earth, वो होना चाहिए. Second, not priorities होना चाहिए in use of water. Okay, obviously I think I will not, how many people will disagree with me if I say that hospitals and schools will have far greater priority than private swimming pools? Yeah, it's just that we are not making the demand. Why don't we make that demand? Why don't we struggle for it? It is directly linked to the suffering of the farmers that Biju, Ashok and others are facing. It's directly linked to that, in Maharashtra particularly. Yeah, we have to fight on that basis. We have to have priority uses for water like homes, hospitals, schools, domestic consumption, food crops in agricultural production, water for livestock, please, wildlife, so on, and much lower down the list for industrial consumption and for luxury. Luxury consumption should not figure on the list. Ultra luxury consumption should not figure on the list. Third, we need to be fighting for legislation on this. Do you think it's impossible? Can I tell you that a small nation, smaller than the South Bombay constituency, I think, Uruguay, less than 3 million people, had a national referendum in 2003, amended the constitution and said what I want every one of you to say. Water shall never be privatized in this country. Water shall never be privately owned by in this country, whether by corporations or business or anyone else. Water belongs to the world. Water is a public good. Water is a good for all living. If Uruguay could do it, a tiny country like that, and that referendum passed with something like 70% voting for the banning of privatization, permanent banning. It's a constitutional amendment there now, and I think we can do that. Then, what we need to do about awareness and public consciousness on water, and we recognize that water is a finite but exhaustible resource. We need to dismantle the thirst economy. Yeah, we need to by the prioritization. We need to, abandon grandiose, idiotic, moronic schemes like the interlinking of rivers. Okay, this is madness. You have no idea how many rivers you will kill with this damn thing. It's a plan, the first plan I've seen made without any reference to geographical contouring. It just is like they're operating on a flat deck. Okay, you have to abandon those grandiose, stupid things. You have to plan more and more for dryland agriculture, for dryland farmers. Look, all our planning since independence has been around the irrigated farmer, जिसके सिंचाई वाला किसान का प्लानिंग हुआ. अब तक कभी नेशनल लेवल में कभी भी हमारा ऐसा ड्राईलैंड फार्मर के लिए उनके लिए हमारा सोच होना चाहिए. और जो हम कैंपेन कर रहा है, अब्रोल जी कहेगा आपको, नेशन फॉर फार्मर्स और किसान मजदूर कमीशन में ये हमारा अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, जो भी मैं बता रहा हूँ आज यहाँ. और क्रॉप सस्टेनेबिलिटी, हमारा जो एग्रीकल्चर है आज बहुत सारी गलत ज्योग्राफीज में चल रहा है. अरे यू कांट ग्रो पैडी इन बार्मेर. ओके, आई मीन, बट we are growing, you know that, and everyone will laugh, but we are growing sugar cane in chronic drought areas. We are growing sugar cane in chronic drought areas. Yeah, one of the biggest consumers of water of any crop. We do need to have an explicit ban on privatization of water. जो नागपुर में हुआ, और देखो कितना डैमेज हुआ वहाँ, जहाँ डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन का प्राइवेटाइजेशन हुई. ये सब करके I think we have a chance of fighting back. And water demand. Who's the person who does not want water? Why cannot we mobilize on the water struggles for water justice? Thank you.
साथियों, मुझे लगता है कि जो गहरी दृष्टि पी साईनाथ जी के भाषण से हमको मिली है और पानी का सवाल कितना गहरा सवाल है, वो पी साईनाथ जैसे साथी ही पानी के सवाल के साथ में जस्टिस कर सकते हैं और उन्होंने अल्टरनेटिव्स भी देने का बात किया है। मैं क्योंकि मुल्ताई से आता हूँ, है तो ताप्ती नदी का वो उद्गम स्थल, लेकिन मेरे अपने गांव में 1500 फीट के बोर हो रहे हैं और गांव की मेरी आबादी है 3000 और उसमें 1000 बोर पिछले 10 साल में हो चुके हैं। तो आप समझ सकते कितना बड़ा संकट है, 7 दिन में एक बार पानी आ रहा है। तो जो इन्होंने बताया है उसको भोगने वाले पूरे देश के अंदर बहुत बड़े पैमाने पर लोग हैं।
तो सबसे पहले शुरू में आई वांट टू थैंक साईनाथ जी फॉर हैविंग गिवन ए ट्रूली ब्रिलियंट लेक्चर। और मैं आग्रह करूँगा कि यू हैव रिटन अबाउट दिस इन मैनी केसेस, तो आप पुट ऑल द राइटिंग टुगेदर अलॉन्ग विद दीज द वीडियो, द पिक्चर्स एंड ऑल, so we can bring it out in a book और उसका अनुवाद कर सकते हैं कि अलग अलग लैंग्वेजेस। So that would be something that would really be very, very good. दूसरी बात, I just wanted to add कुछ information, not on the question of fresh water, but on the question of salt water or seas. 1982 में वहाँ पर लागू किया गया था द यूनाइटेड नेशंस कन्वेंशन ऑन द लॉ ऑफ द सीज। उसका का मतलब था बिफोर दैट हर देश जिसका कोस्टल एरिया है हैज़ टेरिटोरियल वाटर्स ऑफ 12 नॉटिकल माइल्स। 1982 में दे पास्ड अ लॉ यूनिवर्सली कि नाउ यू हैव एन एक्सक्लूसिव इकोनॉमिक जोन of 200 nautical miles. इसका क्यों? Because the beneficiaries were former colonial powers and certain colonial settlements, settler colonial states. क्योंकि टापू, क्योंकि आइलैंड के लिए भी you have 200 nautical miles exclusive, even if it is uninhabited. सिर्फ फर्क किया था something called the rock, uninhabited islands, this. नंबर 1 कंट्री जिसके पास मैक्सिमम स्क्वायर माइल्स ऑफ ओशंस ऑफ सीज, यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका। नंबर 2 फ्रांस। नंबर 3 रशिया बिकॉज ऑफ इट्स कोस्ट लाइन। नंबर 4 ऑस्ट्रेलिया और आइलैंड्स। नंबर 5 यूके। नंबर 6 न्यूजीलैंड। China has about 1.3 billion population, has about 800,000 square miles. New Zealand 2.4 million square miles. एक तो ये हुआ। दूसरी बात क्या हुआ? Now, because of this, 40% of the area of the oceans have been privatized, nationalized by area, not by volume. But by area, they have been nationalized. और अब क्या होगा? जैसे कि अंदरूनी देशों के अंदर और बीच के देश में they'll be about fresh water, there is also going to be wars and struggles about this. क्योंकि exclusive economic zones overlap होते हैं. This is mine, this is mine. And you're going to have capitalism taking the resources in this thing within the seas. And all the rest, it's going to be a terrible mess. तो जिस तरह से हमको नेशनल लेवल पर भी शेयर करना होगा and of course prevent privatization, we have to do something on the international level about this. I also want to say that each of us, many of us, in our lives, in our history, हम thank you करेंगे अनिल जी को. And this is also true कि इतने सारे संगठन भी हैं, we should also give thanks to Anil ji for what he has done for us. ये जो वहाँ पर कॉन्फ्रेंस हुआ है is our way of giving thanks to Anil. That's why it's so important. मैं नाम नहीं लूँगा क्योंकि there are so many organizations. तो अगर मैं नाम लेता जाऊँगा तो मैं I don't know how long it take. I want to thank all of them
those which are listed there, and those of the organizations who are people who are representatives यहाँ पर आए हैं. And I want to thank them for having come and for us giving thanks, and we will of course carry this from time every year here. I also want to thank all of you for coming here and sharing our commemoration for Anil. हमें बताया गया है, and what we had this whole morning से लेके इस time तक इतने सारे presentations थे, very very important points बताए गए थे. This has been food for thought. And now I will call an end with thank you for everybody. Please also have food for the body. Thank you very much.